And now it's Renovate and Build. 60 minutes dedicated to building and renovating solutions. Here's your hosts, Jim and Sandra.
Good morning. Welcome to the weekend and welcome to the show. We're here again this morning to talk everything construction. My name is Sandra and I'm joined by my Fair Trade Works founder and president, Jim Perkins.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sandra. You know, before we went on air, we were just talking about how the office this week, where we've just been so much talk about pre-planning and planning for the holidays.
Office holiday cards,
Christmas holidays,
Christmas parties.
When we're going to stop, when the staff are going to stop. You know, it's a constant reminder that, and it's that, you know, as our phones are ringing off the hook with construction projects, that we really need to start planning as we're planning corporately to wind down our operations for the holidays. I think it's important for homeowners and business owners to really plan that kind of, if they are planning projects, to get in contact with us now, because you know at Fair Trade Works we do insist on proper planning before the construction project goes ahead. So once we actually do go into construction, there's no headaches, and we do make it on time and on budget every time, right? Especially around the holiday season, where we have to make, if we start something, we have to finish it when friends, family are coming, people are going out of town, businesses are closing down for the holidays, and we always encourage, it's such a great time to get into commercial and industrial projects around the Christmas holidays, when, you know, we have time to work. My crews are, you know, they're workers, they're boys, you know, they take a few days off and they can't wait to get back to work, you know, so we're always hyper busy up till the Christmas holidays, and we love to kind of work over the holidays and into January, and it's just a great start to the year to be busy and get projects underway. So pre-planning is the name of the game, and getting in contact with Fair Trade Works now, and just opening up the dialogue so that we can be stress-free and just do it right the first time without this mad rush.
And we don't want your Christmas tree sitting on top of a table saw or anything.
No. Every year, it never fails. We always have 2 or 3 projects that just the homeowners insist that we do it right before Christmas, and I always have
sweat coming off the brow. It's like one of those real life shows.
It's
isn't
right
it,
down,
TV?
right down to the wire every Christmas. I'm always doing something crazy right, like on Christmas Eve.
Well, it is one of the hard, fast deadlines. I mean, when you have Christmas holidays, everything shuts down, so you have to have it finished. I understand as the consumer, but like you said, now getting to see the other side of the industry, the construction industry, you can't rush it. You have to do it well, so you have to make sure you have that time.
Yeah, we insist on that.
Even for supplies. I mean, we forget as consumers how much time it takes, things that are out of your control. You can get a whole crew in there, but you still have to have the materials ordered, the architectural plans, the permits,
everything.
Yeah,
it's a chain of, it's like a domino effect. You know, this is the day late and that day late, out of our powers, right? So you add all that up and it throws us off schedule. So we make sure that everything is signed and sealed and perfect in the schedule before we say we pull the trigger, just so we make sure that we are going to hit that deadline.
Well, and you touched on it just quickly, but a great time for retail businesses, etc., that do have to close down for the holidays to use that as their construction time as well.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're excited this year to have quite a few commercial and industrial builds kind of over the holidays where they are winding down. So we've got everything locked and loaded. We have our permits ready to go. So we're waiting for them to close the doors, and we go then behind the scenes, and then kind of, you know, start next year with a big bang and open some new doors. So we're excited about that.
You know, I'm kind of giggling here to myself, because warning people about the holidays coming up and what they need done is kind of like warning about tax season. I said, it's not something you really want to plan in advance, but it makes your life so much easier if you do. So we are sending that message out if you're listening. And that's what our entire show is focused on this hour, Jim. It's proper planning. It doesn't matter if it's a small reno that you're thinking about, a new house, a new office building, or actually community or urban planning. It all takes time, but it's essential when you're trying to provide optimal results.
Yeah, and that, you know, as you know, at Fair Trade Works, we take everything from from conception to completion, right? So we do everything in-house. We have all our professionals under the same roof, and we just insist on doing it right and insist on getting together, pre-planning, so we don't. And once we do start the construction, everything's not going smoothly for 2 weeks. Then there's a stop, or there's a decision needs to be made, or something's missing, or something's forgotten, or something's behind schedule. You know, because that just adds, you know, puts us back in the general construction companies that people always complain about time and time again. So we insist on that smooth operation and laying everything out. So there's no surprises, no cost overruns, no time overruns. Everything's tendered, signed and sealed. It's in contract. You know, all the trades and contractors are all pre-screened, qualified, ready to go, scheduled in, so that, you know.
And if you're unsure about it, you can still call or contact us and just see if it's the time to do it, or if you do have the proper amount of time, so that we can lay out a proper scope for you.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. I was going to touch upon that, where we just ask us, tell us what you'd like to do, and we're going to tell you there and then if it's realistic.
I always say those free consultations are imperative, aren't they? And a lot of people think they're going to be committed or locked in if they invite a construction person to their house. Fair Trade Works promises a free consultation, so you can come and just ask questions and let us see your project. And these experts, not me, I'll be doing the communication, not the construction. So you can have Jim come and actually personally sit down with you and discuss your project.
Yeah, and we don't want to be too discouraging, but we just like to be realistic. And like you just said, we love having consumers come to our office, knock on our doors, give us a call, say, "Can we pop by? Come on in." Just say, "We're planning this, we're thinking of this. What do you think?" And we just kind of love, we do this day in day out. We know how long things are going to take. We know what's involved, and just really informing them and empowering them so they have a clear understanding of what they plan to undertake, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, and from there they go away, do their due diligence, and come back, and it just sets the tone off nice, so that we're
realistic expectations,
realistic
as we always say at the office.
Yeah.
Well, on the show today, we're thrilled to have a special guest. Professor Jim Dunn is going to be on the show from McMaster University. Professor Dunn is a researcher studying gentrification. I know it's one of your favorite topics. He joins us this hour to talk about how his system of digitizing is going to actually allow academics to study and test new theories of growth, and more importantly, the planning of our communities as a whole.
Absolutely, I look forward to hearing about this. And as you noted, and as you know, I'm keenly interested in gentrification and growth in the city I live in and across the country. But yeah, being focused in Vancouver, I've got a keen eye on what's happening next.
And also on the show, I'm truly not collecting professors today, but we have another professor from Ontario. It's Assistant Professor Marcus Moose from the Planning Department at the University of Waterloo. Jim, he's going to be talking about planning for the millennials. That next generation, or Generation Ys, as many people know them as. They're the young adults basically from the 1980s, 1981, up to the new millennium. And, they have such different tastes in what they want as their future homes and the planning of our city.
The whole lifestyle.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very different. So we look forward to him. And that's coming up on Renovate and Build.
But first, let's find out what's happening in your neighbourhood. Each week on Renovate and Build, we want to talk to residents about what's happening in their communities around the province.
And joining us for neighbourhood news this week is Kitts resident and architect Peter Smith of Anyone Architecture and Design. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you in the studios this time.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a little different experience, isn't
Oh,
it?
most definitely. Seeing people in the flesh rather than talking on a phone is a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, good for you. Well, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, great, Peter, and it's a pleasure. Now, I know we do a little bit of business, and we do communicate a lot via email, so it's nice to spend a little bit of time and have a chat on a Saturday morning. So
definitely,
again, it's great to be here. Are you pretty busy with in the architectural world lately?
Yeah, things seem to be shall we say, unfreezing a little bit out there, and it's starting to look really busy going into the fall, and hopefully continue into the new year. Starting to see some larger developments pop out of the woodwork, so hopefully those will keep on going.
Because your experience when we first met, I know you have a lot of experience in the Vancouver marketplace, but you were working in the US, was that correct?
Yes, I was in the New York area, so working on some of the larger projects over in New York City. So
it's very interesting.
How exciting!
Yeah. It's a challenge. If you think Vancouver is difficult to deal with, go to New York for a while.
Yeah. Well, and that is, we were talking about growth, and that as much as we sometimes fight it as Canadians, because we're used to a lot of space, it's really important for us to realize that our country's growing up, especially our city centers. So we can learn from people like you that have been to those major metropolitan areas in North America to see what growth is really about.
Oh yeah, densification is a very big thing for certainly the east coast of the United States. So.
Right. Well, the last time you were here, you talked about Kitts and laneway homes. What are you going to share with us today that's happening in your community as far as construction and development?
Well, what I'm looking at recently, which is kind of interesting, there was an article that came out, and it talked about super aging, and you may have seen this. Then it was talking about countries and when the large portion of the population is going to reach 65 and older. And Canada is actually slated to become super aged in around 2025. So that's only a decade away when you think about it. And so I started looking at what's the makeup of the neighborhood I'm in. What's Kitts like? And started to find out that the majority of the population sort of hangs out between the 20 to 64 age, but there is a sizable population already at the 65 plus, And Charles Rennie, about 2 months ago, did a talk to the Urban Land Institute, and he talked about how the baby boomers are sitting on this huge cache of property that they've essentially paid off all their mortgages. And those are going to be people who, now this is across the country, so, but it's certainly going to start to develop more in Vancouver and definitely in Kitts as well, because even though there are a lot of apartment rentals, there's still a fair number of single family homes in that area. So you have to imagine that, okay, you're going to find the whole spectrum, but you'll definitely see people who will want to live in the home that they are in for a long time, especially in Vancouver, where unless you really want to get into the flipping of property, you probably are going to have a reasonably sized mortgage, and you're going to want to stay in a place for a while. Now they say that typically if you want to have a mortgage and have a home, you're going to be there for at least 15 to 20 years. So if you look at the population that's in the 40 to 64 range, which is roughly in Kitts, it's about 33%, pretty soon you're going to start to see people moving up into the so-called super age group. So how do you deal with things like aging in place? A lot of these homes or even these apartment buildings are walk-ups. So you have to start considering how to be able to accommodate people to not only live in maybe a flat, but also get up to a third floor. So it's going to, think you're going to start to see in all around Vancouver, but definitely in Kitts, that you'll start to see renovations come in, and even in houses, you'll start to see people think about, okay, well, if I'm going to be here for 30 years, how do I age in place? Perhaps I'm not going to be able to reach that high counter, or how do I get up to my second floor? You can either put in those stair risers, which tend to get in the way, or you can start to, engage architects and builders who know their stuff to sit there and look, okay, well, maybe there's an opportunity to put a lift in here. Or as you see the older stock, what I call the 3-story sort of pancake apartments age, they'll slowly over the next decade to 20 years, I think they'll start to get replaced. You're going to have to start to understand how the population is going to want to live there, especially if they're condos. If they're still apartments, you also will have to start accommodating an older population.
It's a cracking place, Kitts. It's funny you mentioned that demographic. I think I'm pretty up to speed with what's going on in the city. But when I think Kitts, I think beach time in the summer. I think West 4th Avenue, the retail strip. But you're absolutely right. There is a demographic that's had housing stock or owned apartment buildings that have been there for a long time and aging in place. Why on earth would you want to move from Kitts, right? They've got their mortgage under control. They've got this old stock.
It's a beautiful area.
It's a beautiful area. It's ocean views. It's world class, right? So they're going to want to say, well, even if I sell this, where am I going to move to? It sounds all that regular conversation. But yeah, you're right. Like, I think that we'll see a lot of renovations or retrofitting or this kind of, like, you could call them pancake 3 stories, where there's a ton of those, right? Where they're old, they're kind of not in the greatest shape, and it's going to be interesting. It'd be kind of cool to come up with some smart solutions about how we could work with those kind of old-time residents to do some cool financing and kind of start rebuilding those structures from an investment. The land has got great value in it. Kind of pulling these people together and kind of building some really interesting kind of more modern beach. It's beachfront. It's Vancouver's beachfront, right? So.
Yeah.
It's got me thinking there, so it's interesting.
And they've also done other studies that I found where, and this makes sense, 90% of adults, when they're up towards retirement, want to stay in place. They don't want to move. They want to be able. I think of the fact that as you get older, you don't want to go to a retirement home or anything like that. And with technology as it's coming along, you're going to be able to not only live longer, but you're going to be able to communicate. So why can't you live in your home, design it so that perhaps it turns into more of a flat type situation rather than having stairs, but then you put smart technology into your home where you can have on call a physician or even a nursing service where as you get older, you can communicate with them if you ever need to.
I know a young lady who's developing a company right now. I can't really share any details, but yeah, she's ultimately created a with some of the kind of the nursing services that go around mobile, but she's actually created a platform where certified nurses are sitting online, doctors are sitting online, where patients can go into stay at home, go online, and have these interactive conversations about their health, get their blood pressure checked, get prescriptions prescribed online and electronically through this. It's 2014. I nearly forgot what year it was then. It's 2014, and you're right. People want to stay at home, and people want to just dwell and live in these homes and just be able to go through the process of aging in place. And I think you're right. I think there's a huge market for it.
It's exciting as an architect as well.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's a unique opportunity for architects to really step up and just help maintain the existing stock and replace as needed, of course. It definitely fits in with the city's idea of green and being green at 2030, being the greenest city in the world. So you reuse the spaces.
And there's nothing, as you know, those old structures, we strip them back to the bones, and there's nothing wrong with them, right? Like they're in great shape, and it's fairly easy, and a lot of them were oversized for the lot, so there's tons of square footage there, and just with some smart architecture and space planning, we can start creating these. It's so interesting, right? Just to kind of create these new kind of community spaces,
Exactly. I think it's something that you hear rumblings from the city that they're thinking along these lines, but I think they need to have a little bit more of a sort of cohesive push forward, and this is one aspect that they definitely need to pay attention to. And it's all the other municipalities, but definitely whenever you see places, the entrenched neighborhoods like Kitts, the West Side and all that, you really have to start thinking this way.
Yeah.
Well, I know two people who could spearhead that with the municipalities, because I saw the sheer excitement and all of a sudden idea generation that comes when you start to realize the potential of what we can do when you get people together with great ideas and the abilities in place. So.
Definitely.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. We
Thank
wish
you.
we could keep you for the whole hour just talking about this. Very exciting, and I hope you'll join us again here on Neighborhood News.
Most definitely. Thank you.
We've been speaking with Peter Smith of Anyone Architecture and Design, and now our resident neighborhood news reporter for Kitts. If you'd like to share topics with Peter to be broadcast on the show, you can visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/RenovateandBuild. That's AND build. Or you can email us at radio@fairtradeworks.biz.
And if you're sick and tired of your patio doors jamming, leaking, or coming off the tracks, we may have the solution you've been looking for. Product Face Off this week is all about the latest in patio doors.
And building products that talk to us when they need maintenance? Really? Is that true? Well, we're going to find out the details next.
There's still lots more ahead. This is Renovate and Build, powered by Fair Trade Works with Jim and Sandra.